Okay. Sige, bagan mapiraw. Mapiraw din pala. Ay, gipalaktan ako. Sige, last problem lang na. Anyway, damo naman ako nahatag. Anyway, pisto-pisto man kita. Na ako man lang nga may support lang kita video. Diba? Makatikang-tikang lot ka mo. Kaya may ginhatag na kayo ang mga problems. Tikang-tikang gadla. Di pa magnasir nga magduro-duro kami ito. Anong quote ni Mark Twain, di ba? The secret in ano to? Ay, sa to nga kuan. Imiling na kita internet. The secret ko no getting ahead is getting started. So mo pa tagtitikang. Hindi, bagan amo tak bagan medyo baga royal ba nga problem nga nakita. This is about density. So again, density is still covered kuan niya rational expression gyapon niya pero kuan laya particular. Density is mara makutapos na kami ni. Kaya lang yan, ang mga problem itaton. Density is mass over volume. Okay, medyo analysis na din niya side or somewhat application. Anyway, tanta. A human brain weighs. So, an ulo ko nuhan tao, yan na tao, wara yung kunaladayon. An ulo ko ng tao, or an iya brain na sulod, sa ulo nato, kaya ito pa man nasulod brain. An brain la, an soft tissue. Kung nag-ihaw ka mong baboy, tapos ginuluto ang brain, sir, Kaya, para panghihawgap kami yan una, ipapa ako, pag nakatilaw kita noon nga mga utok nga susugba, marasa, putligan, carbohydrate. So, ang kabugat ko nito is usa ka kilo, sampol. Ngan, may daniya 10 to the 11 cells. Ani mo ito, you can just imagine, may bayo na manggap ka mo na high school, di ba? Ani mo ito compartment, meaning, ani mo mga tissue is composed of cells. Di ba? Maarong kita ito. Di ba? What composes cells, tissue, organ, di ba? Maarong kita ito. So, 10 to the 11 cells. Ibig sabihin, bagahin kung drawing ta, pasensya na ka mag-drawing. Kay, direct sugad ka dati yung drawing. Maring ka raw tasi eh. Kaya direct mo pa mag-drawing. Hmm. So, kung baga drawing naton, an utok ngayon ko, no, kumbaga ito, so big man laya di ba? Utok, 3D pagod, 3D. Di ba? May mga, ano mo mga cell, gugti, sa tagugti itong duro, durugkot lang yun nila nga mga brain cells, Kaya of course, ang brain, composite of brain cells. Ngan, ginhimo yang cube ya, mga cube. Ano ba't cube? Padakuunta na ako ba magnify ako no magnify. Pak. Diba? So, ganun tiya. Gin-magnify an utok. So, bagayaran magsaragpit nga mga cube. Ay, sinipagayan iti pakadto kita naton material science nga topic. Sige kita drawing in mga cube. So, ade, may sapit nga cube, may sapit na lot niya nga cube. Diba? Diba? Adi, sa nga brain cell, ang sunod, sa nga brain cell, tas may dalot dito na liwat. Diba? Dalot dito. So, meaning, ang atong brain cells is compartment lang yan, mga brain cells. Actually, timo cells, pagagad yan, kuan. Ini, gini mo lang yung regular shape. Bisan irregular, timo brain cells. Diba? Anyway. So, 10 to the 11 cells. So, ito nga tanan nga cube, inihira, ano kada mo tira, that is 10 to the 11 cells. So, or 1 time, pwede mabutan natin 1. 1 times 10 to the 11. Pwede pa kada mo ito. 1 times 10 to the 11 cell. Okay. Tapos, calculate the length of one side of such a cell if it were a cube. If the cells are spread out in a thin layer, that is a single thick. So, kung imo ko no, ay, paganda mo niya pakiana. Calculate the length of the side of such a cell. So, ito yung cube nga itong gin-drawing which represents the cell, ano man kahilaba ini nga imo side. Of course, maaram kita tinimok cube, your cube is just side times side times side because it has the same sides. Diba? Or we can represent it as a side cube. Ngan, ito mo problema. Okay? Amit usa nga problema. Drawing ko lang ha. Ito na pagsulba. Kaya paganda mo niya pakiana. Ha? You know that the volume of a cube, is S cube. Therefore, the side cube or is equal to B. baliktad ko man la. And then you can have the root of this one. Diba? Have the root. Para gumawa sa imo is S na la, side. Kaya magpakiana side. Side actually is the cube root of your V. Pwede ka ito magtikang. Kaya mo pakiana. Ano ko nun side ang imo cell, hani mo brain. Tapos, ano pa ang given nga iba is density han tubig. Kay gin-assume nga ang cell nimo ang sulod puro la tubig tawaray waray inuutok. Ang sulod ang cell puro tubig. But anyways, from the problem. So, meaning we have to relate it to the density which is 1 gram per ml. And then you have that much of a cell which is 1 kilogram. So how do we do that, sir? So kitaan mo density, balik la density kay density niya concept. Kita natin density. Density is mass all over volume. Now your density is given. Density ini check ini hiya. Anim volume related didi pero nimo mass given check gihapon. So therefore, you can derive volume you can derive volume by just let's say multiply this. I mean simple algebra we know that volume would be equal to ano man mass all over density. Diba? Adi, nag-multiply ka din V, multiply ako din V, tapos nag-divide ako din rho, nag-divide ako din rho. Whatever you multiply to this side, so I multiply and divide, I multiply and divide. So, pareho because they are equal. Okay? So, by that, bagan mababalhin mo ang V. Cancel di D, and then adi cancel D. So that you would have V which is M over rho. Di man? So, you know that volume is mass all over density. Yan na, may daka mass, may daka density. So, therefore, ito ang volume, pwede mo itong substitute na di. Diba? Sayang daw lano. Basta gin-analyze lang yung ito nira. Pwede tagad solvent siguro nga. I don't know. I cannot think. Dani, nakakauna ako ng ibang solution. Pero din, pagkita ko, amot masayon. So, your volume is mass all over density. And then, you plug your equations, your what is given from the problem. You have a 1 kilogram of a brain. So, 1 kilogram of cells. Ibutang it unit, kaya kailangan tapo i-convert. Which has a density 1 kilogram of cell, and then it states here that there are 10 to the 11 cells. So, there are 10 to the 11 cell. 10 to the 11 cell, and then the density of the cell is, diba? Now, you have 10 to the 11 cell. A number of cell per per 1 kilo. Pwede ka dyan gimbutang tanin ani mo na lakuan cell. Actually, pwede niya per 10 to the 11 cells. Diba? 1 kilogram cells, tapos may dani mo, every 1 kilogram, you have 1 times, pwede butukan 1, pero 10 to the 11, number of cells. And now, this is already the per cell, 1 cell. Okay? Kaya ano kailangan natin ini? Because, ini yung side, this is the side of the cell. Okay? The side of the cell, which is in volume. Diba? So, basically, what we're after is the side of the cell. Yes. But, ini nga imo formula, this talks about per cell. Because ang ginatagas is density. So, therefore, you have to derive what is the mass per cell. Mass per cell. Kada usa ka cell. So, this is the mass of all the cells. Okay? 1 kilogram of cells, that is 1 times 10 to 1 times 10 to the 11th number of cells. Okay? So, dire, dire, malipong. So, mass of the cell, density of the cell. Now, the density of the cell is given niya, puro tubig yan rasulod. So, this one is check already. And actually, derive mo pa. Because the mass of the cell is, that 1 kilogram is per 1 times 10 to the 11th cells itira. So, ibig sabihin, i-divide ta nga nitira, makukuha kang kilogram per 1 cell. Tapos, ano mo density liwat per cell. So, pareho natin mo unit. You have to derive it nga per cell. Kada usa ka cell natin mo ginsusukol because this formula here talks about the side of the cell. Ano mo cube? The side of the cube. Okay? Kada usa ka cube which is assumed as the cell. Okay? Naintindihan? So, kada usa ka solid ni inihiyang tanan niya formula. That's why you have this volume of a cube. So, yan na, that 1 kilogram, it karasigo nito, that is per 1 times 10 to the 11th cells. And then you divide it by the density, you have 1 gram per ml. 1 gram per ml. Tapos, it ato ni unit, the side in terms of, assuming that it's to calculate the length of a side of such a cell if it were a cube. If the cells are spread out thin layer, single cell thick area in square meters. So, wala man niya maghatag aton units, but anot aton unit. Pero kay ginpapakalculate it length, pwede kita hini mag-calculate in terms of centimeter or pwede micrometer. Usually, a cell has a range of micrometer. Pwede. As long as it is meter. Okay? Ay na. Hay, magkita sir makakakuha sir micrometer ito dida. Ini nga imo ml. Kailangan nimo itong conversion factor. Actually, volume nimo 1 ml is equal also to 1 cubic centimeter. 1 ml, 1, ito nasin kita, 200 cc nga dugo, di ba? 200 cc nga dugo. Kasi ito, 200 cubic centimeter. Okay? Ngayon kasi kung ito, 200 ml. Basta tubig. Yes, tubig. Kung dere tubig, pareho laga pa da, basta bisan dere tubig because this talks about equality of your volume. Okay. So, 1 gram per ml of cell and then we will convert per cell ini gihapon ha? Per cell. So, that's why ini nga cell makakancel iniya. Okay? And then, times 1 i-convert taan na iton kilogram. Pwede ta i-convert, pwede ta luwat himuon nga para ginihimo nga kilo times 10 to the 3. Pero butangan ko na lang conversion. 1 kilogram is 1,000 gram. Okay? Sanglit makakansela di, makakansela di, makakansela di, makakansela di. Tapos, ani mo ml, convert taliwat, adat solo dito, kuha na, square root. Cube root ngayon, cube root. 1 ml, so ani mo ml, adi ha, ubusan ubos. Diba? So, meaning, adi to dapat didi. 1 ml is equal to 1 cubic centimeter. Okay? Nakita niyo para makancel ini. Kaya dihat ubos ito ubos. So, therefore, that unit mabibilin is cubic centimeter. I-cube natin, magkakamayada kitahin centimeter. So, may calculator, puro man ito hira, kuan, maliban la, hininga duha nga number, bagan hinila nga duhat may number, ini, nganin, ini. Okay, bagala ito the cube root of 1,000 divided by 1 times 10 to the 11. Okay, and then the unit now would be cubic centimeter. Cube root of 1,000 divided by 1 exponent 11. Okay, and that will give us Scientific notation. So 1 times 10 to the negative 8. 1 times 10 to the negative 8 cubic centimeter. So basically, this is the volume. Okay, volume meaning nga aton kuan. This is the volume of the cell. 1 times 10 to the negative 8 cubic centimeter. Now, exalted side, of course, we have to employ the cube root. The cube root of that is 2.2 times 10 to the negative 3 centimeter. Kaya ini nga cube, gin-manipulate nga di, tapos ini makakancel niya. So, the unit would be centimeter. So, ano sa ka-cell, eh, eh, that is 2.2 times 10 to the negative 3 centimeter. Kung karoy gud naton ig micro actually, kaya sa layton range iti mo cells in terms of micro, you can say 2.2 times 10 to the negative 3 times 10 to the negative 2. Okay? Meter. Ini, ginimot nga senti. And then, imong karoy ko, diri ko himuon nga micro, that would be a 2.2 times 10 to the negative 5 meter. Diba? That would be side. Pwede na ka dito ya. Wala ba ito problema? Pero kung karoon mo baga ma-imagine yan mo, pay, kay micrometer lagi mo mga, kadagkit mo mga cell, bacteria, ada tira dito nga range. So, you can have 2.2 times 10 to the negative 5 and then times 10 to the negative 1 times 10 to the 1. So, ini naliwat is 1. 1 ito hira. So, bagan waray latya dida. Okay? And then, ini nga duha, himuong ko nga micro. Okay? So, that would be a 2.2 times 10 to the 1. And then, micrometer na. Kaya di 10 nga na di, that would be a negative 6. And then 10 to the negative 6 is equal to micro. Hay mo prefix. Okay? So, ang 10 to the 1, pwede na nimo himuon nga di to the right. So, that would be a 22 micrometer. Diba? Ani mo cell ang kadako, aniya side, that is a 22 micrometer from this problem. Okay? I guess may isa pa niyang pakiana. Kung imo kuno iglatag, if the cells are spread out into a thin layer that is single thick, what is the surface area in meters? So, bagala ituhin, an imo length, bagala ituhin, an imo mga cube, ng mga cell, diri mo ra patong patungon, imo iglilihira side by side. 1 meter, 1 one from each other. So, and then ma-fill out ito in area as if you're looking at the top. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan lang ito dida, kaya may da naman nimo side, that area is just equal because square man ito ya. So, igmo-multiply mo lang tiya nga tanan, hanimo, pira nga tanan ini nga cell. Di ba? Kay nga tanan ini nga cell man. So, that would be, the area would be the area per cell tapos multiplied by the number of cells. So, amo nito yan. Aton area kasi is unside lagapit yan because kung makita kita at the top, we are looking a square. So, that would be actually side square multiplied by 1 times 10 to the 11 cells. Matanan. So, that's how thick it should be. So, we plug the 22 times 10 to the negative 6, ibabalik ko as meter. Kaya pagan square meter, itiya kailangan didi. Di ba na? Square meters. So, kailangan ato answer ko no is in square meter. So, gimbalik kan micro, that would be meter. And then, igi-square din niya. Tapos, multiplied by 1 times 10 to the 11 cells. Kaya inihira, this is per cell. Bagan makakancel mo iniya. Okay, kaya ini nga mo area, this is the area per cell. Kung gamiton mo ini, kaya niya, this is the side of the cell. Okay? Klaro ha? So, masulod ito mo squared, that would be a 22 squared. Di ka ni calculator na la. Diretso na lang calculator. Ay, pinanag-aiser kami damo mat, kaya di pa kami nakaka-adjust. Sige, God. 22 exponent negative 6, and then i-squared mo, and then times 1 exponent 11. So, So ini nga squared, pag i-squared mo iniya, pati ito yung meter ma-squared. Okay? And the answer is 4.8 times 10 to the 1 square meter. Okay? Or, madusog kita didi, that is 48 48 square meter. Dako ito ya. Kaya bagay ito, pwede na ito usa kahilapan nga balay. Ang gugti galagod man nga balay. Kita niyo, do, bagan ang brain ni mo, kung iglatag mo yung atanan, pausa-usa, sa amin ni kadakot ya area. Okay? So, that will be, abangan nilaban na ada. Tapos may mga ako na, pero ako, okay? Okay, thank you guys for listening.